And it's time again for another episode of the Real Pundits Podcast, episode 37. At it again. So, this week, we're going to keep it real simple and get straight to the point. First of all, I'm Alex, and who am I with today?
Brandon, of course.
Of course.
Who else would you be with?
Hey,
Who's sitting in my seat?
Yeah, somebody else sitting in your seat. Get your hand up my pocket. Anyways, the whole concept comes down to it is, what you been up to, what you been watching, man?
Oh, man. So I've watched quite a bit, not just Game of Thrones this week, but...
Wow, you took a break from Game of Thrones.
No, I watched Game of Thrones, too.
Okay.
I just had a lot of free time.
Okay. So what did we watch this week?
Oh, I watched The Green Book, finally.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Check out.
Black Klansman.
Okay.
And Bohemian Rhapsody. Basically all the movies I should have watched last year.
Okay, so you're catching up on last year.
Yep.
So then the question I have is, can you sell me on The Green Book? Because I've already seen Black Klansman, thought it was one of the greatest of last year. So now here's your chance to sell me on...
Do you like movies that tug on your heartstring?
Yeah, if you give me an emotional response, I'm very much interested in your movie.
Do you like well-paced, well-told stories?
Well, you know I am a fan of well-paced and well-told stories. So, I mean, that's still not selling me just because I happen to like those things. All right, man,
so
go ahead. Handle it.
Here's the thing about this well-paced, well-told story here.
Okay.
It's set in a time of racial segregation, which is a dark piece in our history. And instead of amping it up a notch and making everybody a crazy villain that hates all, minorities, they kept it statistically true. Like, people in New York, they weren't necessarily super racist because the North has always been, statistically a little less racist than everything else. I'm not saying it's like, oh yeah, none of them are racist, but
racist diet or light racism.
Yeah, racism light back then.
Half the calories.
No, still a lot of calories.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, racism takes a lot out of the heart. No, so it stars Viggo Mortensen.
Okay.
As the Italian guy who is seemingly some kind of mob enforcer, bouncer type. Mm-hmm. And the club he works at gets closed down for remodeling. So he has to take a job escorting the world's greatest pianist, basically, at the time. No, I didn't say penis. I said pianist.
I'm making sure, man, because you already won the F-bomb for last episode.
Basically driving him around on his tour of the South. This gentleman happens to be a black man.
Okay.
So he tells him, the guy initially it's not sure he's going to take the job, but he's got no problem with driving the gentleman around. What his problem with it when the job is offered to him is the guy wants him to fold his laundry, wash his clothes, basically be his butler because, he's rich and he lives above Carnegie Hall by himself. He has everybody do everything for him.
Okay.
And the guy says, well, my price is higher than what you had initially quoted, but I'm also not your butler. You contacted me because of who I am and what I'm done, I can handle myself. And that's what the job will be. And so that's how the relationship starts. He gets a call. He's like, you're hired. And so he's gone for 2 months touring the South by car because this is, before super tour buses. And,
okay, I was just thinking before airplanes. I mean, how far back we go?
Well, this is also the record company wasn't going to give him the...
Yeah.
So, but he's playing all these fancy hotels and restaurants, basically, for all these rich white people. One scene in particular was really... It was really crappy to watch. They wanted him to play, but they didn't want him to eat there before he played.
Okay.
So of course Viggo Mortensen stands up for him, and there's a few other scenes where they have this tension because, of course, Viggo Mortensen doesn't like the way people in the South treat black people.
Okay.
Who does, right?
Right.
Well, the Viggo being a mob enforcer has a certain way to handle things. The pianist doesn't necessarily want him to handle things that way. So there's some tension there, but it's also a movie where the two characters grow together. Their character arcs go alongside of each other, and each one seems to learn something from the other. One standing up for themselves, the other one being a little more humane. Their perspectives on each other and the world itself seems to change throughout the course of the film. Really well-told story, deserved Best Picture.
You think it deserved Best Picture?
I think it deserved Best Picture.
Now, you do realize that a lot of the things that you're saying sound very similar to Black Klansman. Mm-hmm. You have two characters coming from two different areas.
Came out at the same time.
And
one was a Spike Lee joint, the other one was not.
And where do you put the two? I mean, because beforehand you made the whole comment. We talked about the Green Book versus
the Green Book. Okay, so the
Black
Green
Klansman.
Book was a little more of it was a drama, not a action comedy like
Black Klansman was. So do you think they should even been in the same arena?
It shouldn't have been in the same arena. They're not. Neither one of them. Like Black Klansman is not a bad film by any means. It's a great film.
It's a great film. I think it's one of
But
Spike's
it's
betters.
not in the same lane as. See, when I think of Best Picture,
Okay.
I think
Maybe
of,
that's the criteria that
I
we
think
need
of
to
your
explain.
Forrest Gumps, your more emotional. These tell a really long story. They get people involved. There's not a whole lot of action. Like the story is doing the job,
Right.
not the cool scenes, the jokes. It's a movie solely driven by its story and characters.
Now, you jump back to that these are more artistic films, but that cool scene, I mean, Spike did it in spades. And
I'm not going to say he didn't.
in Black
It
Klansman.
should have won best something, best adaptation, best.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few categories it could have won, but best picture definitely should have gone
to
the Green Book. So Spike Lee being upset that he didn't win over that movie, he should have just not given the nod for it because it was a great film. And look, this is a movie that came out last year.
right.
How many recent movies in the last 5 years that we've really truly discussed movies hard have you ever heard me say
You deserve
that
that
movie?
award.
That movie deserves Best Picture.
I've never even heard you in casual conversation agree with a lot of the things that come up for Best Picture.
No, that movie deserved it 100%. And I'm not saying, like I said, this is not saying Black Klansman wasn't a great film because it was. The Green Book was just better in its own, and it was better because of the style of movie it was, and the fact that it can keep you engaged for as long as the movie was, without having the cool scenes that Spike Lee does. Spike Lee's a phenomenal filmmaker, but much like a Tarantino film, Spike Lee's not going to win Best Picture because Tarantino's films aren't going to win Best Picture.
Now, that's almost a perfect time for me to transition into, not saying that I'm going to stop you from this, but I have to. A trailer came out.
Oh, I saw it.
A trailer came out. I got it 6
I was
o'clock a.m.
waiting on this.
6 a.m. I saw it. And that was 100% teaser. Like, I think that Quentin Tarantino has finally figured out a way of doing a trailer not for his movie, just for the feel of the movie. Because what the movie's about and what that trailer showed were two drastically different things. What I'm talking about is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
And the trailer came out and it looks so retro good. It's like he cleaned up his Grindhouse game to go through and show
Retro.
And he did it well. But it reminded me, especially since it has Leonardo DiCaprio in it, it reminds me of Catch Me If You Can.
A little bit.
And that's where I was like, man, that really, there's some scenes. There was one scene in the trailer that I was like, that is almost a direct scene from that. But it also has Tarantino's humor. Mm-hmm. All of this is the teaser trailer for a movie about a certain almost cultish group, helter-skelter type of situation. So he's hiding it. Mm-hmm. I wonder why. That was my first thing. When I first watched it, I was like, this is a Manson film.
This is going to be a lot more than just a Manson film. I think this is going to be more about the Roman Polanski and the Tate house more than it's going to be
the Manson murders.
Mansons. So I think you're going to get a very stylized thing where just murderers are plotting to kill all these people in the background that you don't even really get much attention to, which would be a great way to tell this story.
Which is the reason why I brought it up right then, is going, I think that with this film, number 9, and if not number 10, he could be in the running.
You'll never see it, man.
You know,
when his scenes finally come out, when you finally see the film, like you pull it back to Django.
Okay.
Right? That movie was mind-blowing good.
I think Hateful Eight was even better.
Hateful Eight was mind-blowing good. Inglourious Bastards was great. It was
great.
Mind-blowing good.
It still has its rewatchability.
It does. I've rewatched it a lot.
Yeah.
But Kill Bill 1 and 2. I mean, they're not that. But
still great movies.
He doesn't do bad movies.
No,
but he doesn't do
Best Picture worthy
movies. And like,
if I was
doing it, he's not taking the chance. He wants to write his films. You gotta think. These people have to follow studio rules to tell a good film.
And what does Tarantino do?
Follow his own.
Right.
So he's not going to get Best Picture for the same reason Spike Lee's not going to get Best Picture. He's going to make his movie and screw the studio.
Well, that is a possibility, but I also think that if the man shoots proper film, the same way with Spike, he shoots a film in a way that you go, you can't top this.
We can do our pundies, and we can write the categories and give them out pundies, and then Spike Lee, Tarantino, and Alfred Hitchcock win them all every time.
And Kubrick. Best Picture, Lifetime Award, and a couple of other awards. But in that same category, you're bringing up the whole thing of certain people just won't be able to conform to do what they're supposed to be doing. But we just saw your boy go through and sign up with Disney and do a Disney film that looks like Snatch or Rock and Rolla.
It's going to look. It's not. I'm calling this now. That is not going to adapt well. It'll adapt well for a trailer. You can make Guy Ritchie can do one thing: make a trailer look really exciting.
Right. But do you
look at King Arthur? That trailer looks really exciting.
Yeah,
and then you watch the film and you're like, wow. I think the same thing is. Look, the mouse is too spread out.
I also think the mouse wouldn't sit there and go through and take a chance on Guy Ritchie without having some
reins on him.
Yeah, and how do you rein in this cult?
By giving him his run scenes and his fight scenes the way he wants them, and then giving everything else.
Now, I'm not going to sit there and say I know the Disney Aladdin movie well enough to sit there and say...
He does parkour. It can fit.
Okay, then what else are you going to have? What I'm trying to see, minus his grand scope scenes, which the man is really good at these wide angle shots, and his fast turn shots and quick edits. That's what Ritchie's good for. But Guy Ritchie is known for one other thing, which is the problem that I'm having
cursing.
Sans the cursing.
Okay.
Dialogue runs his movies.
And that's something you can get Aladdin.
Except is there enough dialogue in the Aladdin movie to sit
if you count the musical numbers, yes, which they are putting.
I don't count the musical numbers.
They're putting the musical numbers in, so it's not going to be as dialogue heavy as you probably like it to be.
And
but there's a lot of dialogue once the genie's out, and once you get to Aladdin's already shown himself to Jasmine. There's a lot of Jafar and Sultan conversation with manipulation and
yes, but that same dialogue, as Guy Ritchie fans, you have to understand that we're waiting for dialogue, fast-paced dialogue where one person says one thing and it's equipped on another person.
It's not going to happen in this,
and so
it's not going to feel like a Guy Ritchie film.
Which is my whole thing of bringing it up was, I'm not saying the man he bought into the opportunity to shoot a Disney film and put that on his resume, so he could in somehow
he's doing a Disney film on one of the most popular Disney movies that came out in the 90s. One of the most popular Disney movies that came out in the 90s. If the movie is successful, he doesn't have to make another movie again for a studio. He can use the proceeds of this to do the real Rock and Rolla finally, and I'll be okay with it.
Is that what you're hoping this is all for?
I'm hoping he's just trying to get to the real Rock and Rolla.
Disney presents the real Rock and Rolla 2.
No, just no Rock and Rolla, then the real Rock and Rolla.
Yeah.
Before Archie gets too old.
Yeah, that's the other thing we have to sit there and worry about.
You've got Clive Barker, or not Clive Barker. That's
Clive Owen.
Not Clive Owen. Gerard Butler.
Okay. Ooh, that's not.
You have Idris Elba. You have Tom Hardy with the Wild Bunch.
Yeah.
You've got Archie. You've got Johnny Quid. You've got all of these guys that were in the end credits of Rock and Rolla saying they will return in the real Rock and Rolla.
Yeah.
And that was like a decade ago. And all these guys are aging. Tom Hardy is far past
oh gosh,
playing that character again.
But I think he would come back for it.
Oh yeah, I think they all would because they all had a ton of fun doing it. But
because I mean, really, I guess my biggest thing as a film geek, I don't want to sit there and go, the last Guy Ritchie movie was Aladdin.
Yeah, no.
Knowing where he came from, and of course I'm removing the Madonna movie. So
he did that for his wife.
Yeah, that didn't sit well.
It was his wife.
I know, but still, like even dialogue, it was a plethora of long shots. That's all it was.
But look at it this
worst film he's ever done.
Look at it this way. At least you can say it's Aladdin and not King Arthur.
I think they're going to look a lot the same. I think the reason why he may have gotten the job was because of King Arthur.
Oh, look, he can do over-the-top magic stuff. Let's do that. Oh, my God, if that movie turns out to look like King Arthur.
The parkour scene in the very beginning made me think of exactly the same way it started off with the other one.
All right, let's move on from that. That's depressing.
Okay, so, yeah, that's depressing. So I'm going to go into what I watched this week.
I'm not finished.
Oh, excuse me.
I watched Bohemian Rhapsody, too, man.
Oh.
Save your money. Don't see it. Now you go.
Oh wow! That's that all. No,
I mean,
if you
want to see a movie, if you want to see a movie that is solely a setup for Queen's greatest hits and how they were created, sure, go spend your dollar at Redbox like I did. But
wow.
if you...
Now, you're saying this as a person, are you a Queen fan?
I'm a Queen fan.
Okay, so it's not like,
No, and like, it was cool. I'd have been mad if I'd have paid theater money. It's worth $1.
That was the problem. You would have been mad if you paid theater money for
dude,
this.
I'd have been mad if I'd have been... It's worth $1 or $1.80, whatever it is at Redbox right now.
Wow. Okay, man.
It wasn't great. It was... They embellished some things. Even though there's a lot of tension in his life, there wasn't a ton of it for very long.
Okay.
Basically, everything just always worked out for Freddie Mercury till he died.
But they didn't do... Did they do the whole thing of making us look at the downside of the dark side of this person's life, or was it an uplifting...
For like 5 minutes.
So for all in all, it was an uplifting movie.
Yeah.
So in the general grand scheme of things, was it a solid movie?
If the message behind it was you can be an over-the-top, bossy control freak, do a bunch of drugs, sleep with whoever you want to, and sure, you might get AIDS, but man, you'll live a pretty good life other than the 10 minutes in the film that you're alone. Sure. Because everybody forgave him. And there was no tension. There wasn't anything hard to get back. Like, it was something.
So where do you put it in the realm of biopic films? Was it?
It was nowhere near the doors.
Okay.
Nowhere close to the doors. It's slightly lower than Lincoln.
Wow, that's hardcore.
It's accurate, but it's bad.
Then I have to go through and do this now then, because I wasn't going to. I was going to actually go into talking about what I watched this week, but now I have to know, where do you give it a pundit score? I need to know. Bohemian Rhapsody.
1.5.
Wow.
1.5 out of 5. It was a cool soundtrack, but I'm not judging it by the music.
Okay.
I'm judging it by the filmmaking.
All right, then we're going to the other direction. What about The Green Book?
5.
Out of 5.
5 out of 5.
I don't even want to know my next question.
4.5.
You're going to give Black Klansman 4.5.
Yeah, it's a great film. Fantastic.
You know what? I can accept that.
4.5 out of 5 for Black Klansman. Green Book 5. Solid 5.
So, in other words, to end up with the first part of the conversation before we derailed on to talking about Quentin Tarantino. So, you've sold me. So that means next week I have to sit there and figure out, do I agree with you or not? Because now I'm going to go pick it up and watch it.
Yeah.
Because now I have to sit there and see exactly. Well, I'm going to do mine real quick. Crimes of Grindelwald. I watched it for... There's a reason why I picked it up and watched it. Because I was reading, going through all the different reviews. And I was like, okay, what movies did I really miss out on? And I saw all these negative reviews about the whole situation. And then I sat down and watched it. And I came to this realization that there's a lot of people out there that if you don't get exactly what you think that you're going to get, that you distance yourself from the movie. I thought that The Crimes of Grindelwald wasn't a bad movie. I thought it was a perfect setup for where the movie can go. Now, it felt a little rushed as far as how there was too much story to try to tell at that point. That's the only negative I can say. But was I entertained and went like, okay, you're establishing everything that should be important in the next movie. My only problem with it is if you do not promise me the next 3 other movies to tell your story perfectly, okay, you're holding up
They're doing one.
They're doing one more after this?
If
It was
all
originally
that's
they originally set up it was supposed to be a 5-film.
trilogy.
They're now knocking it down to a trilogy.
It's not doing good enough.
That would explain the reason why the story came together so compacted. Because I was like, man, you were really telling way more story than was needed. But it was still an interesting way to tell the story.
So let's go from a Harry Potter fanatic's point of view.
Okay, go for it, man.
Those movies the Harry Potter films set a bar.
Yes, they did.
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them didn't quite reach the bar on storytelling. Okay? It was good, but
Fantastic
it wasn't.
Beasts, I thought
it was
definitely
good.
hit its bar. It told
It
the
didn't
story
reach
of,
the Harry Potter bar.
I don't think you had that connection.
But it's not about the connection. It's not about the connection so much as it is the way those movies told their story, the pacing, the you did not get that. Now, granted, you're not going to because it doesn't take place in a school. It's a whole separate story to tell. So, but there's a point to this.
Get your point. I want to hear it.
The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was a good film.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Harry Potter.
I don't think you're going to even hit Harry Potter. Just there's a level of
But this
intro
is the problem
to magic
with that film.
that it didn't have the intro to
You
magic.
are catering to Harry Potter fans.
Even with catering to Harry Potter fans, that movie was also a generational ease into a world. This is not an ease into a world. This is more from the adult point of view.
Yeah, this is an established movie, and now you're getting the Grindelwald Dumbledore situation. Right? That's what this whole thing has come to.
And I'm okay with it in the way they set up the story, but now that you told me that we're going from what I thought was 5 movies.
From everything I read, it's 3. They may have gone back. They may have.
Well, see, the whole thing comes down to is what are they actually writing? Because if they don't even finish off this setup for number 2 was told too fast. But the reason why I enjoyed it is a solid number 2 within your own mythos.
Okay, so was it Chamber of Secrets?
Ooh,
because that's a solid number 2 for their own mythos.
Okay, that if you're see, why are you going to compare it to
because
Harry
you're
Potter?
Appealing to Harry Potter fans.
But still,
these people, you're saying it's more adult oriented, right?
Right.
The people that grew up watching the Harry Potter films
are now adults. Yeah,
are now adults. These are the people watching the film. The people writing bad reviews are Harry Potter fans. These are not the problem we are seeing, and this is a J.K. Rowling and Warner Brothers decided we want to milk this cow further.
Yeah, but all they're getting is powdered dust right now.
Right, and that was my point. Not that they're making bad films. They're good. They're not great. They're not. But you cannot, if you were to scale it, right? So a follow up to the beginning to it. So a second movie establishment, right, in the same universe. Is it Chamber of Secrets?
Was it Chamber of Secrets or Empire? No, but I thought that in the grand mythos of telling a hero's journey, I thought it hit exactly the points that you need to hear. It wasn't
Desolation of Smaug.
What was that word?
Smaug.
Smaug?
Smaug. I don't know how to pronounce Smaug. Smaug.
Smaug.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. But the concept for its own storyline.
And I'm using that as a bad thing because Desolation of Smaug was crap.
Yeah.
That's right. I talked bad about a Peter Jackson film.
Wow. The world is ending.
It is.
But at the same time, I don't think it deserved the level of reviews that it was getting. It wasn't a train wreck. I've watched movies that are just utter train wreck.
Last Jedi.
I wasn't even going to say it.
I did. No, but see, Last Jedi did worse. That's a follow-up secondary on a... Last Jedi was a worse told story.
Yeah, that was...
But this is the problem that we're seeing, right? You're milking franchises appealing to the fan base. And the fan base expects what they had, not what they're being given.
Yes, but at the same time, as a fan base, I think there is a little bit of a realm that we should go, okay. So my big problem that I'm running into is with this, I think that we need to go through and really review the film itself and do something that you would tell me to do as the person who's always looking at things as the art. Can you review The Crimes of Grindelwald without being a Harry Potter fan first?
I can.
Okay.
No, this was my point with what I was saying. Okay. Because I've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. Crimes of Grindelwald, good movie. Bad Harry Potter film.
I can give you that.
Good movie, bad Harry Potter film.
See, I wouldn't even put it in the Harry Potter universe.
But it is.
No, but it is. If
you're telling me that, hey, the first movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, just a wizard film. Right? It's just a wizard film.
Just a wizard film.
Cool.
No problem.
Better than Mortal Instruments or any other supernatural film that has come out for a while. So, yeah, fantastic. Okay. Then you're going to tell me that they follow up Crimes of Grindelwald. Okay. Ignoring the connection, good wizard film. Cool.
Okay.
You tell me those are follow-ups to Harry Potter? No. Those are terrible. It's the same thing with I'm going to compare it to Ghostbusters 2016.
Oh, boy. Right? We're going there.
Can be a good comedy film about ghosts and ghost hunters.
Yes.
Not a good Ghostbusters film. It's the same concept. They're making good movies, but using the intellectual property of things to push it, and the fan base is getting mad because you can't keep milking these cows when the cows dried up. But they're trying to. They're trying. Like we saw the conclusion.
But that same magic can be found in other arenas, though. I'm going to play the devil's advocate.
They did. The Cursed Child on Broadway. They found that magic.
And so instead of when people complain about one thing, they overshadow the things that actually did good. Now, of course, this goes into the whole thing of Dave Filoni's, I wouldn't say a love letter, but he giving a shout out to his fans a couple of weeks ago for Rebels, which amongst Star Wars fans, I have yet to hear many people really complain or write bad reviews over over that whole situation. So a fan base can be positive, where it's not all toxic. But we're starting to see that with a lot of these film companies. Hey, what worked before? Hey, let's repeat it again and just modernize it just a little bit. And the reason why I'm bringing all the whole modernizing up, there's a movie that I talked about it like a while ago that was getting greenlit. It's now officially greenlit. We're going to get a Gundam movie. And now I'm going through and seeing that they're talking BattleTech movie. Are we really going to go through all the things of our past before we put out anything new?
Well, they're going off of animes now. And if they're going to start doing live-action adaptation to some animes, there's a lot of content we can do.
There's a lot of content we can do, but should it fail? Should it be done? No. That's the same reason why they've been building up for some years now over the Akira situation. Should it be done?
There is one movie to be excited about that's coming out that's modernizing something from our past.
John Wick 3, the past of like a couple of years ago?
No, but it does star Keanu Reeves.
Okay, now
Bill and Ted 3, August of 2020.
I'll pass on that. But if we're going to go...
Why? Hold up. Hold on.
Yeah.
Why? Did you not like Bogus Journey and Excellent Adventure?
Wasn't my thing, man.
Because this stars the same two guys.
Yeah.
Right? Basically, so if to recap those films, which I loved those films as a kid.
Yeah.
It's two guys who created a band that caused world peace, right?
Yeah.
And they were failing, so they were going to get separated. So George Carlin came back in a time machine phone booth because they were giving a nod to the Doctor. And
I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish this.
Set them on the right path so that, allowed them to use the time travel phone booth to collect people from history to pass their history exam. Fast forward a couple years, they do Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where evil robot them killed them. And they tricked death and then started a band with their princesses. And
I know exactly the movies that you're talking about. Thank you for giving the recap.
Modern synopsis of this film. It has been this long. It is 2020, whatever the year they're filming. It's 2019. They still haven't written the song. It's called Bill and Ted 3 Face the Music. They still haven't written the song. They're in their 40s because time travel screwed up their timeline. So I think it's a cool concept.
It's a cool concept, but I mean, to me, during that same time period, while they're telling me about this film, I'm going to at least insert to you where I was at in my film world at that point.
Yeah.
Godzilla on one side and Do the Right Thing on the other. That's where I was at that point in life. So I kind of was not really watching Bill and Ted's. And the only other thing that I'm really, really kind of, I want to see where they're going to go with it in that same vein is Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. I'm interested to see how many of the originals can he possibly pull into this
them
movie.
all plus some new ones.
And that to me is, I think it'll be a fun movie to watch because it should be so meta that
He's
it's
doing
making
that,
fun
but
of
not
it.
giving us Clerks 3.
You know what? I don't think that's. It's almost like with Quentin Tarantino. If he never does the 10th film, I'll be okay. Because if it's always one day, there's going to be the 10th film. Let it live on forever. The same way with Clerks 3. I just don't think that is...
The same way with History of the World Part 2.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
That and Jews in Space. So, for anybody who's just like, oh, what are you... No, go watch the movie. If you've never seen History of the World, then you know what I'm talking about. But...
Mel Brooks.
So, we were originally going to sit down and talk about Game of Thrones Season 2. And so, what I'm going to say we do is... That'll be it for our Tuesday release show. So this is going to be released on a Tuesday. So as you're listening to this, you're like, oh, it is a Tuesday. And the other half of this show will be on Thursday. And we'll go through and release that later on. And on that Thursday, of this upcoming Thursday. So this is pretty much the end of episode 37. We're going to get to 37A. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll get into 37B, which will be called 38 because I'm trying to push the numbers forward, so I don't care what anyone has to say about that. But we're going to move on from this. This has been the show. As much as I really wanted to get into things, we kind of got back into the old ways of doing things for a little bit there and just randomly talking about the films we saw. So,
which is the point of this podcast, really.
yeah, there really is. There's really not supposed to be that formatted because that just goes against everything that we're really about.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to hit us up, find us at mailbag@therealpundits.com. And if you want to find me on Twitter, hit me up at ANA Real Pundit.
And you can find me at Brand Real Pundit.
And also, if you want to sit there and talk about some films, hit us up on the Facebook group. And we do a little film talk on Facebook. And other than that, like I always end the show, bye.